Because it's time for the Matt Wyatt Show. The guy who's the color commentator for Mississippi State football and SEC baseball. So yeah, he brings a lot to the game, and he's right here.
Right now!
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Let's go! Friday show has begun. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team at Farm Bureau Insurance. They are your home team. Hometown heroes across the great state of Mississippi. Available to you in all 82 counties. I stay connected to you around the clock, not just when we're on the air, but even off the air. I'm posting and tweeting and uploading and Instagramming and live streaming and all that because of C-Spire, the number one network in Mississippi. C-Spire, customer inspired. This right here goes out to one guy and one guy only. His name, sort of, is Beaver.
25 seconds left to play.
You're listening to the Matt Wyatt Show.
I want winners.
This crowd is alive.
Play to win the game.
Wyatt from the shotgun, two backs alongside.
Knock him out, John.
Wyatt gets the ball.
It won't be long.
Wyatt back to throw. Wyatt looks, fires toward the end zone. Passes, caught for touchdown by Matthew Butler.
Speak to
The Matt Wyatt Show. He's Radio Wyatt.
Well, how am I going to go to college? I'll just play football.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. Beaver said that the old intro to the show was played out and washed up and stale, and I think the word that he used was lame. Well, you know what, Beaver? You are entitled to your opinion. I think about the line from the great character in The Big Lebowski, the dude, when he said, yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. But keep in mind, Beaver calling an intro with Jack Crystal and with Jerry Clower. Keep in mind, him calling that lame, that's coming from a person who then admitted he'd never even heard Jerry Clower until he heard it on my intro. And the same guy who said that he doesn't like the JSU Sonic Boom. Get an earful of that. Lean in real close to the speaker. Woo! Woo! Come on! Roll down your windows, turn it up to 11, see what happens. Chill bumps. Look. Chill bumps. I'm ready for football, and it's Friday night. And that means I'm going to have some, and so are you. I love my man Beaver. This goes out to him. Dadgummit! I'm ready to jump, run, hit somebody. Welcome into the show. I love you, Beaver. I'm just having a good time at your expense. And hey, and speaking of that show, The Gridiron with Beaver and Chris Brooks, or the other way around. Does Chris's name come first? Hey, JB, how you doing on a Friday?
Man, I'm doing fine. Sitting here looking at Beav. He's got tears in his eyes. He's really hurt.
Yeah, I'm sure. They're tears of laughter, if anything. Does Beaver's name come first on The Gridiron, or is it Chris? Which one?
Well, I mean, alphabetically, it'd be Beav. I mean, even his real name begins with a B. So.
Right. Well, you got Brooks, but
well, you know, it's really, the show is really named The Gridiron.
Yeah, which is,
and Chris hijacked that and made it the Chris Brooks Show.
The Chris Brooks Show. Yeah, I like The Gridiron better.
That's my favorite name, but I also like the Beav and Brooks Show.
I think it is like totally unique, The Gridiron. And the name Mississippi Gridiron and Mississippi Gridiron Magazine. In fact, I'm about to go down the list of the high school games and the 5 most interesting high school games according to
Mississippi Gridiron
Magazine. But I do want to say this. Beaver, you need to call him out. Chris Brooks can't seem to tell everybody enough how much he's working out these days. I was tuned into the end of that show. As I came into the studio, I got connected. I did an interview on the phone with a radio station in Alabama. That was fun. And then I hang up the phone. I put on my headphones. I'm tuned into the end of the gridiron. And in the last 10 to 15 minutes, I heard Chris Brooks mention at least 3 times to make sure everyone knew that he gets off the air and he goes to work out. He even said, I don't get to listen to Matt's show a whole lot as much lately because I'm working out. To which I'm thinking, bull. Everybody who works out listens to something. You can put in headphones. But I just want everybody to know, listen, do y'all get it? Does everybody understand? Listen, Chris Brooks is working out. We got it? Everybody got it? Everybody remember? Make sure, if you see Chris, which you will at one of these games tonight around the state of Mississippi, please, y'all, please go up to him and say to him, hey, Chris, I heard you're working out.
I'm a weak man.
Not from the knee down, he isn't. Chris Brooks has the most disproportionately large calf muscles of any fella I've seen in a long time. He must do calf raises. And hey, JB, whenever I would bring that up to Roger, especially like in front of Chris, Roger thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Roger had noticed it too. Chris,
he's got some large calf muscles.
How do you do that? How do you be like normal guy from the knee up and then knee down, he's Popeye?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He needs a little anchor, one of the little Popeye anchor tattoos on the back of his calf. It's like a Popeye calf. What is the guy doing?
I guess he's eating a lot of spinach.
Yeah. He wasn't built for speed.
No, I don't.
He wasn't built for speed, was he? With calves like that? You're built to be like a fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have calves that are kind of similar, and I can assure you that you're not built for speed with large calves.
Was he a catcher? Or as a kid, you know, we used to call it, we didn't call it catcher as a kid. You know what we called it as a kid?
What's that?
Hind catcher.
Oh, yeah, hind catcher.
Was he a hind catcher? And then when you got a little older, you know, if you ever heard anybody say hind catcher, you knew that's not a baseball guy. I had a friend in high school who was a guy who liked to tell big lies, big stories. He just had this reputation of he would just spin some unbelievable tales, and we'd get him going just so he'd do it. He entertained us from time to time. The guy's name was Keith. And so one time we got him going. Tell us, you know, did you ever play baseball? Oh, yeah, I played. Matt, this is before you moved here. You know, I used to play baseball. I was really good. You were really good? He said, yep. When I was in the 7th grade, had college scouts coming and watching me play. I said, really, Keith? You really were good, huh? What position did you play? He said, hind catcher. I thought, All right, so there's red flag number 1. Nobody says hind catcher. And I just waited, and then he said, yeah, and then my knees got bad. I was like, well, how did you catch behind the plate squatting down with bad knees? He goes, they just put a stool back there for me to sit on. Totally lied, made the whole thing up, but it was great. You see, he'd make these stories up, but you can see why we'd get him to do it. All right, listen, welcome into the show. We're off and running. I don't know how to possibly get to everything that has already come. We haven't been on the air for 8 minutes, and there's no way I can possibly, in short order, get to all the comments and everything. So, hey, to everyone on Facebook, on Periscope, I'm seeing all your comments. Same thing on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. That's a 601 number, 885-ESPN. Call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment in Madison and Jackson, 995-1059. You call me on that number, we'll talk on the air, 995-1059. That's a 601 number. You'll talk to JB. He'll let me know you're on the line, and we'll chat it up here today. Okay? Let's do it. On Facebook, first on Periscope, the first comment I got today, because I was asking about watching high school games tonight. I really want to watch one. I was hoping to go. I'm wearing my new Tupelo t-shirt, Tupelo High School football t-shirt from my hometown. that we picked up from the local booster club. But we just got word that Tupelo's Jamboree tonight with Corinth got canceled because of, presumed bad weather that's coming through here. It's really kind of nasty. North of here, a lot of tornadoes, up around Pickwick, and then over in Oxford they had a tornado. Didn't do any damage, but it did come through there. So kind of dangerous. So anyway, the Tupelo deal's canceled. So I'm going to be looking for games to watch tonight. I know there's some on television on ESPN. I'll get to that. But Caleb's telling me that PCS, unfortunately, isn't on the NFHS network online, which I subscribe to. But I can listen for free. So, Caleb, I'm going to be looking at your Twitter feed as soon as the link goes out. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to listen into your broadcast. I'd love to hear it. You said they're playing at Pearl River tonight, which, by the way, they have a beautiful field, Pearl River Community College. And they're allowing 25% capacity in the stadium instead of just the 2-for-1 rule. So that's good to know. Pretty cool. Robbie, hello to you. Thanks for tuning in. Casey on Periscope loves the intro. Glad he likes it. Keith, loved hearing the sonic boom to start the show. And my own mother-in-law listening as they travel this way, getting ready to celebrate birthday this weekend. And so, hey to y'all. I'm going to get to some more on Facebook. First up, though, here on the Country Pleasing text line. This is not me. I'm just reading it. Joe Pesci, the first text on the Country Pleasing Sausage text line today said, "Man, I love that intro. He just doesn't get it. Beaver isn't a true Mississippian."
And that comes a lot from a call that Brooks got in his show when he were talking about various sauces that Brooks does not partake of.
Right, I heard that.
And he was called not a Mississippi because of that. And so I guess that's where this is coming from now with B.
Who was that, Gator Man or Gator somebody?
Yeah, Gator Man, yeah.
We got a bunch of gators around here. I heard that part. What did
well,
you tell
you
him?
either a gator or gator bait.
What did you tell him? Well, at least, Beaver and I totally agree on that Chick-fil-A sauce. I don't know what they put in it, but it's the best sauce, period. The end. The second text that we got today was from Louvier. That kind of rhymes. He said, "Wow, Beaver is absolutely wrong. That intro is solid. And the sonic boom kicks. Go Saints." What is this about salad? Space Palace. BD, he said BW Gazas. No, it's not salad. He says sad. What is, I don't know. Don't know what that is. All Night Mike. Well, how'd you get that name, Mike? On the Country Pleasing text line says, the Matt Wyatt Show definitely has the best intro. Thank you very much. 100 grand says we got the blood pumping on a Friday by hearing a sonic boom. And I know it's a sonic boom, but it's still just hearing a band makes me want to go to a high school game. And I know you can't go to all the high school games you want to go to because rightfully so, there's a 2-for-1 rule. We got to adhere to all that. Gator Nation, Country Pleasing text. You know how he signs off. TB12 the GOAT. Let's get that out of the way. He said, "Matt, do you consider Jake a friend? Get him some help. I think he has a head injury. You might not know it. This man said the Bucks are going 8-8. Talking about with Tom Brady? They're not going to make the playoffs. Going to go 8-8. And then you say, does he not understand football? I'm starting to wonder. 30 interception Winston won 7. Brady couldn't throw 10 if he had tried. 12-4 at worst. What? And then he says, and don't worry about Beaver. I love your intro especially. He said, I'm going to college. I'll just play football. Love, Clower. Me too. How am I going to go to college? I'll just play football. Like it's that simple, right? Well, I disagree with you. 12-4 at worst for Tampa. You insert an all-time quarterback, sure, but it's not like Brady 5 years ago. It's not Gronk of 5 years ago. And so outside of that, what is your team? And is your team better? Is your team that much better than New Orleans? No. And people are absolutely poo-pooing on Carolina, and I don't think they should. I really don't think they should. As long as Bridgewater's healthy, they have a better team around him. They were not good a year ago, but they were a mess.
Yeah, I think that's the key, what you just said. I think the healthiness of all 4 quarterbacks, Ryan, Bridgewater, Brady, and Breeze. And I go back to what I said last week. You look at the backup QBs on each roster, and the Saints are the only one that have what I would consider proven legitimate backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, and who is the backup in Atlanta? Schaub, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, holy cow. He's got to be the oldest quarterback in the NFL outside of Tom Brady. He has to be. And,
he kind of pulled one of those Matt Flynn moments, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He had a really good season, and then all of a sudden got all the money and then wasn't any good.
Hey, and extra credit, if anybody out there can tell me without looking it up where Matt Schaub played his college ball. I know off the top of my head. I've always known it. I'll give you a hint. He was the heir apparent. I believe this is how it worked. I'm going to go back and look. But he was the heir apparent at this particular school to a former New Orleans Saints starting quarterback who played at this school right before he did. Got y'all thinking. Don't look it up. See if you can come up with it. Jay on the Country Pleasing text line says, the calf muscle is the most inherited muscle in the human body. Well, that's not true. But it's funny talking about Chris Brooks. My dad has big, strong legs. He was a hind catcher, a catcher in college. And he's got big, strong thighs and hamstrings, big old calves like a tree trunk. And I'm Mr. Spindle over here. Always kind of have been. I don't know how. So that's not always true. So, is it? Jason in Flagstaff said, I already told Brooks and Beaver, don't care if mine get read or not. I'm bored to death today. Talking about your texts? You don't care. Jason says, I don't care if you read them or not. Just let me text you. I think we have a couple of the correct answers here. Walking Bully, Bama Fan, and Ready Teddy all said Virginia. That's right. Matt Schaub, backup quarterback, Atlanta Falcons, went to Virginia. And I believe he was the quarterback at Virginia right after the career of Aaron Brooks ended. Now, there might have been one in between. Y'all might have to look that one up. I just know that, Kevin is saying that on Twitter as well, UVA and Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks at Virginia goes on, becomes the Saints starting quarterback. Right after him at Virginia was Matt Schaub. And one of those guys, if not both, didn't they play with the Barbers? Tiki and Rondé? We forget that there was a run there for Virginia. They were pretty doggone good there for a few years. Look, let's do this. I don't do this too often. It's Friday, kind of a free-for-all Friday. Let's use, until the music starts here, the rest of my time to start the show, just to see what everybody's saying to me. And we got plenty of stuff to talk about. Like I said, what I want to do next is run down the games, a lot of the games that are happening tonight in the state of Mississippi. Super excited about high school football. I'm going to look at it on Chris's website, MississippiGridiron.com, and see what they are saying are the top 5 matchups out there in the state tonight. And then I'll let you know what games these are that are coming on your television tonight. If you want to watch a high school game from other states, that'll be on, I guess it's ESPN. So we get to watch some high school football, see what that's going to look like in other places. So we'll get to all that, okay? Promise. JB saw my Tupelo shirt. He said the Golden Wave. That's it, right here.
It's a good-looking shirt, man.
Thank you. You see the big T that's like the Tennessee T, but obviously Tupelo colors. For years, they've had this on the helmet. And this year, with a new head coach in Ty Harden, they have taken the T off the helmet and put the Wave Man logo on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So they're changing that up a little bit.
And they play on that Smurf turf, right?
The blue turf of Tupelo. And I can tell you this. I have for years ranted and railed against that Boise blue turf because they put it on television and it looked awful. And there'd be these primetime games, there for years, like on Thursday nights and stuff, when Boise, and I'd be looking forward to watching this game, Boise versus somebody, and doggone, man, I just couldn't stomach having a blue screen. I couldn't stomach the blue. My screen's blue. The field's blue, the screen's blue. And then you got this blue glow in your living room where you're trying to watch.
You got a blue hue.
A blue hue. And I'm like, that's stupid. Grass is green. That's it. Well, I've totally outgrown that. I'm past it now after ranting and raving about it when they first did it. And now that I'm a Tupeloan and they have the blue turf and I've seen it in person, it looks great in person. I'll just say this. The blue turf is certainly less obtrusive, offensive, or ugly, whatever you want to say, in person than it is on TV. You go out there, you see it in person, you're standing on it, you're like, this is really cool. It's not a big deal. You don't really have and it's a total myth that somebody made up that ducks out at Boise, ducks would fly in there and try to land on it thinking it was a lake and die. That never happened. They made that up.
Maybe they were talking about the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah. What color is their field? Green?
Yeah, Nike green.
Yeah. Chartreuse? Because that's kind of, anybody that's ever fished with a chartreuse spinnerbait knows.
Spinnerbait. Yes.
They can tell me that they are yellow and green. No, it's chartreuse. Because I've seen that color on my spinnerbait because Bill Dance told me to buy it.
I think it's just said, I was fixing to say Bill Dance. That's so funny.
And Jimmy Houston, chartreuse.
Oh, yeah.
Chartreuse spinnerbait. I'm telling you right now, if it weren't for fishing shows on Sunday afternoon in the 1980s, none of us would have ever heard of chartreuse.
Mm-mm.
But because of Bill Dance and Jimmy Houston and Orlando Wilson, every dadgum one of us knows.
Wilson.
Every one of us knows what chartreuse is because of those guys. Oh, we're off to a fun start. What's up, Danny and Dave? Dave on Facebook said Beaver said all that. He's a special kind of Ole Miss fan. He's a Bama fan, boys. Keith is saying go Morrible Troopers. And Sifu really liked what I said. Speak to it. Or maybe he likes it when Jerry Clower says, speak to it. All right. Long way to go. Plenty more to get to. Y'all stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sauce. It's countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land,
now back
you
to
can
the
view
Matt Wyatt Show.
Back with you. Just getting started with you here on a Friday, a free-for-all fun football Friday. Is that enough alliteration in there for you? Friday night, turn on the lights, put the ball down, and come get it. Let's play football. I'm going to be watching some tonight, listening some tonight. I'm sure you will be too. Some of y'all are lucky enough to be able to go watch a little high school football. Man, I tell you what, I get excited about it every year, but there was something about watching that MRA versus Trinity Christian out in Texas game last Friday night. Something about watching that. I was watching on the live stream on the MRA website, and it was synced with the radio broadcast, which, by the way, the MRA games you can hear on the flagship station of my radio show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN Jackson. They did a fantastic job. Broadcast, stream, it was all synced. It was good. You could keep it with the game. It looked good. It was an exciting game, great finish. And it sort of, I don't know, it kind of, what's the word? It kind of renewed my excitement and whatever you want to call it for high school football. Got me going, man. Boy, did I ever need it. So looking forward to some tonight. Before I get into the games, though, I got something for you, JB.
Talk to me, man.
Well, instead of talk to you, I'm just going to play something for you. You ready? Hold on to your hat.
I got it.
Are you sitting down?
Oh, yeah.
Here it is.
I hitched my boat onto the back of my truck.
Can you hear that?
Oh, that's lovely.
He said, I'm sorry, buddy, I can't go. I'm watching the Orlando Wilson fishing show. I called a gal who was an angler and said, if I don't go fishing, I'll go out of my head.
Amen.
She said, I'm sorry, honey, I can't go. I'm watching the Orlando Wilson fishing show.
Now, how great is that?
That sounds like Tom T. Hall.
It is. Hey, his announcer voice sounds like you. Listen.
Spidercast by Mitchell. The maximum fishing edge.
The maximum
Pennzoil
fishing
Marine.
edge.
I swear, JB, his voice guy sounds like you.
Still building legends one at a time.
Still building legends one at a time.
That is fantastic. Boys and girls, all of us that grew up, we wanted our own fishing show, just like Bill Dance and Orlando Wilson and Jimmy Houston and all those guys, right? We all wanted our own show. And when I get, not if I get mine, when I get my own fishing show, I know who the voice guy is. I've already found him.
Hey, let me ask you this. What was your first rod and reel?
Zebco 33. I don't know about the rod, but the reel was a Zebco 33 push button reel. Probably
that was your first one.
Yeah.
So you did way better than I did. I got a Zebco 202.
Okay, yeah.
And then
I had a
then
Snoopy.
I got a 33.
I had a Snoopy rod and reel when I was around maybe 3 years old. Snoopy.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about, if your very first, because I got the Zebco 202 when I was 7.
Okay.
And then when I was 10, my grandfather gave me a Zebco 33.
Okay.
He had one and he knew I loved it.
Yes. More fish have been caught. More fish have been caught on a Zebco 33 reel than any other fishing reel in the history of all of them. That's a fact.
And maybe the closest one to that would be the Ambassador 5000.
Yeah, the Abu Garcia.
The open face. Yeah.
The Abu Garcia Ambassador, the old round one, it was great when it was brand new, and then about a year later, you couldn't throw one to the other end of the driveway with it. They would get stove up and stiff and everything.
That bird's nest.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. Yeah, I started out with a little Snoopy rod and reel. It was green, and then we fished with it. And then, about 5 years old, I was using that Zebco 33 because Dad had a couple of them, and we just fished all the time. Yeah, that's just what we did. We didn't go tailgate at ball games. My buddies did, and I was fishing, and I'm okay with it. Reggie, you are exactly right on watching the YouTube live stream. He says you got to mention Paul Elias from Laurel, Mississippi, and he's won a bunch of tournaments and caught a bunch of fish. He's a real deal. And I tell you, man, it's not as easy as, hey, I caught some fish, let's go catch some. The whole tournament fishing deal is a whole different animal. It just is. All right, high school football matchups. Let's take a look at some, shall we? Let's do it right now. Are you ready? Get ready. According to MississippiGridiron.com, games to watch in Week 2. J.A. at Leak. Jackson Academy travels to Madden to face Leak Academy. Battle of 1-0 teams. J.A. introduced a big-time rushing attack in their win over Pillow, led by quarterback Jackson Kahn and running back Marcus Harris. Leak coming off a shutout win over Winston last week. More balance on offense. Quarterback Rhett Atkinson, running back Cannon Parks, big-time receivers Cheatham and Myers. The Raiders defense anchored by linebacker Donovan Beasley. Nebraska commit Lardarius Webb Jr. They're picking J.A. You got Prep at Simpson. Does that one tear on old Chris Brooks a little bit right there? It tears on him a little bit.
The Patriots versus the Cougars.
They're both 1-0. Both teams coming off blowout wins. Lamar School at PCS, and that's the one who you're going to get to if you listen to it online. Y'all follow Caleb Hamill. Just look for him at Caleb Hamill, Caleb with a C, Caleb Hamill, 2 L's. On Twitter, he's the play-by-play announcer for PCS. You get to hear that. They're going to play it at Pearl River Community College tonight. So he told us earlier on Periscope that they're allowing 25% capacity in there as opposed to the normal 2-for-1 rule. Riverfield, Louisiana is at Tri-County Academy. And then another one to watch, they point out. Oh, big finish. Here we go. Come on. That's the sonic boom for you. Indianola Academy at Pillow. Here's what they say about that. The Colonels travel along Highway 82 from Indianola to Greenwood to face Pillow. Both teams coming off defeats last week. Pillow lost to J.A. Indianola lost to Bayou Academy by 1 point. The Mustangs have introduced a new wing T offense, and so they're trying to get it going. Big one tonight. Lots of big games. Let's see. Porter's Chapel in Vicksburg is going to play 8-man football against Deer Park from Leland. That's pretty cool. You know what? JB, have you ever seen an 8-man football game?
Yeah, I did. When I was a youth minister out in Dallas, there was one of the schools that we had a couple of kids that attended, and they played 8-man. It's really weird.
Yeah,
to watch 8-man football.
I bet it is after watching 11. I'm really curious about it. I'd like to see it. It seems like it's something that is more prevalent out west than it has been here in the South and the Southeast. But you know, the big linebacker, who's the big middle linebacker for the Cowboys. What's his name? From Boise.
Oh.
They took him
to... I can see his face, and I can see him play. Van something.
Why can't
Vandergert?
Not Vandergert. Why can't we think of his name? He's incredible.
Because we slept last night.
And you're right. He got hurt last year, but he's incredible. He was a first-round pick. Well, the guy played 8-man football in high school, like out in is it Vander Esch? He played 8-man football out in Utah or somewhere.
Leighton Vander Esch.
That's it, Vander Esch. And he's incredible. And I tell you what's cool about him. So he's classic middle linebacker, right? Like wears number 55. He's really good. And then when he makes a big play, his celebration is he leans back and he howls up into the air like Teen Wolf. And everybody at the Cowboy Stadium does it with him. It's pretty neat. But anyway, he was an 8-man football player in high school, goes to Boise, becomes a first-round draft pick by the dadgum Cowboys. It's really incredible. I can tell right now, I'm going to jump into the Country Please and text line now. And I can tell we got plenty of time today. We'll hit some of the other matchups going on in high school. But if I don't pay attention, I'll get too far behind here. Bama fan, thanks for your text. He said, what do you think about the Mississippi State players walking out not practicing yesterday? Well, I think the positive is they all did it. It would have been a huge negative if like half of them did it. And like the other half put on their stuff and are standing out there going, I thought we were practicing. Okay, so the whole team does it? Okay. That'd be the positive side of it. The thing that I look at, though, is, you want, whatever you do, you want it to help, and you want it to help a situation or a cause, and you want it to help you also. And I think that missing practice, it takes the players away from something that is good for them, right? But they did it. I'm not against it at all, as long as you make up that practice time, because as an individual player and as a team, every single rep is very important to you in the long run. It is important. It's not overstating it. So I think they did that yesterday. I think they weren't originally going to practice today, but now they are practicing today. So it's not like they've missed reps. They're making it up, and they chose to do that yesterday. So at least it was all of them. It would raise more of an eyebrow with me if it was half your team. That would be really odd. Okay, Ghost Pepper, Gator Nation, Monkeys Riding Dogs, Mother Goose, White Denzel, Jason, Nick, Teddy. I'm coming to all y'all, as my buddy Neil Price likes to say. And to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, coming to y'all as well. Stick around.
Keeping farms running.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with autopay and paperless billing. Even without autopay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasin' sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sausage, countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these
This
guys
knowledge
are the
bank
first
of an unknown legend.
It's like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall.
It's the Gridiron with Chris Brooks. Weekdays 10 a.m. to noon. Streaming online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 1059 The Zone.
Now to get back to our little talk.
Right here on the Matt Wyatt Show.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. Stick around for the start of Hour 2. And I'm going to let you hear a few snippets from the time that Jerry Clower was the guest on the Orlando Wilson Fishing Show. Yes, I found it. Jerry Clower was the guest fisherman on the Orlando Wilson Fishing Show. They were at Lake Okeechobee in Florida, brim fishing. And we'll hear a few snippets. That's coming up in hour number 2.
That's my favorite kind of fishing.
I think
you give me a cane pole and a little cork and a worm,
yeah,
and I'm happy.
Yeah, and I'm partial to crickets because they work better. I like crickets, man. Yeah, I guess. Well, I say work better.
I find it easier to stick a worm with the hook than sticking a cricket.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. There's more to it.
Well, you just don't have all that yellow gunk with a cricket.
Yeah, with the cricket, there's a head and a tail and there's a specific place the hook ought to go in there. With a worm, just stick the thing about 4 or 5 times.
Boom.
Yeah. Any part of the worm is just worm. Just stick it in the worm.
There you go.
So we'll do that. Yeah, and, again, the protest thing, I mean, it gets covered wall to wall, daylight to dark and that kind of thing. Bama fan asked me about it. My thing is, if the whole team does it, and it's peaceful, then I'll give them my attention. I will. I don't have to like everything. I don't have to agree with everything. If I coach and I don't want to miss in practice. But if the whole team does it, they're all together, that may be a good thing for chemistry, and they don't cause any issues, they're peaceful about it, I'll listen to them. I owe them that. And then they even have the wherewithal to come back and make up the work they missed, which they are doing as a team today. Hey, ain't no problem with it.
I just don't want anybody adding to the noise.
Yeah.
There's enough noise in this world, and especially with these particular subjects. I don't need any more noise. I need somebody, if you're going to add to it, you got to add something positive.
Yeah, positive. Well, and I think based on a lot of stuff I see, that's why I'm saying I don't want to sit here and have this just hatred and disgust with all the violent protests that are happening out here, and then come back here and have the same disgust for a peaceful one.
Right.
To me, those things don't equal, so I gotta be less hypocritical on that, for me anyway. Christina, watching on Facebook, says, I like that Tupelo shirt. You do? I got a blue one just like it. Hadn't broken it in yet. I appreciate it's one of those good, it's like a shirt that fits right. Not big and flappy. It fits right. Yeah, it's a 2X. I'll admit that. I'm probably a 2X for life. Ghost Pepper on the Country Pleasing text line says, Beaver is a total ingrate. You devoted an entire segment for him called What's Up with Beaver and even played that hideous music. You should have played the Incredible Hulk TV theme music and called the segment It's Never Sunny in Pearl. Ghost Pepper, I just hope he heard that. Gator Nation said, is it true what Chris said? Feldman is reporting now the Big Ten is talking about playing this fall. I heard some Nebraska parents were filing a lawsuit against the Big Ten. And JB, thank you for saying if you ain't a Gator, then you must be Gator bait. I'm going to still say it. Well, Gator Nation, Gator Greg used to tell me, if you're not a Gator, you're a Gator hater. And I like that one even better because it rhymes. Yeah, it is true. There's reports out there. Feldman, Thamel, a lot of those guys reporting that the Big Ten coaches have a big conference call. They're figuring out a plan to maybe play some football this fall, maybe start it. They even are proposing they'd start playing around Thanksgiving. It's all because they rushed their decision, motivated by the wrong factors, and they rushed their decision. They didn't have to make the decision when they did. And then they said dumb stuff, like we're going to play in the spring. Not playing in the spring, period. Ain't happening. Nobody is. Nobody is going to go.
You just said they said dumb stuff.
They said dumb stuff.
They said dumb stuff.
Like we're going to play in the spring. You're not playing in the spring. You're not playing a full contact season in the spring and then turn around playing another one 5 months later, 6 months later.
Mm-mm.
It ain't happening. Nobody in their right mind even believes it's possible. It's not. And then yet they say it to just, it's like you're about to be attacked by a pack of wild dogs, and so you pull out your last remaining piece of beef jerky and throw it as far as you can to just occupy them just a little bit so you have a few more minutes to live. Because after they finish that beef jerky, they're still coming back for you. That's what the Big Ten did by saying, we're going to play in the spring. Pfft. Just hoping that some of the dogs are dumb enough to believe it. Well, look, I ain't believing it. It never did. So now they come back. We're going to play in the fall because they're kind of realizing, we messed up. Monkeys Riding Dogs, you're exactly right on the Country Pleasing text. The best Bill Dance episode ever was the Jerry Reed episode. I totally agree. Totally agree with that. 100%. And I remember it. I don't remember any that were any better.
One of my favorite guitar players.
Yeah, he was an unbelievable.
Oh, man. He and Roy Clark could flat pick it, man.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what ESPN did. Can I tell you? And now I like to think that maybe I'm the reason for this, but I don't think I am, JB.
Come on with it.
If you look on my Twitter timeline, earlier today at 9:42 a.m., I retweeted an ESPN article from ESPN.com that the headline said, Shedeur Sanders among top college football recruits to make 2020 high school debuts. Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son for Trinity Christian, who played last week against MRA, 1 week ago tonight. Well, earlier today, a big, robust article went out on ESPN.com about these high school matchups because they are broadcasting the games. And the headline said that Shedeur Sanders, who played last week, was among the top college football recruits that are making their 2020 high school debuts tonight. And I retweeted it and said, except he played last weekend. Good grief, ESPN. Now, look, we all make mistakes. I probably shouldn't have done that. And lo and behold, looky here. If you click the link, they have edited the headline. Well, as they should. It's not a big deal. They've edited it to get it right. Now it says, Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur, among top college football recruits with big games this weekend. They changed the headline. Maybe I'm the reason.
Oh, I definitely say you are the reason for that one. I saw that when I was at Live Oaks working this morning, and I was going through some stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, that's not the right headline.
It ain't the right one.
He played last week.
Well, they changed it. They've gone in and changed it. Now they're just saying, and if you click on the link to that article, there's a big picture right there of Deion Sanders and Shedeur. Okay, 2 games tonight on ESPN. It's called the ESPN High School Football Kickoff. 2 games tonight includes St. Paul's versus Spanish Fort in Alabama. St. Paul's is down in Mobile, Spanish Fort up around Birmingham. I think it's played at St. Paul. Big broadcast for that one tonight. It's 2 good football schools with recruits. And then tonight you're going to have Corner Canyon from Utah taking on a school called Bingham from Utah. Now, tomorrow on ESPN, big deal, right? Because we have the first college game tomorrow night. That's going to be Austin Peay versus Central Arkansas in Montgomery at Crampton Bowl. That one's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock kickoff, FCS football game tomorrow night. But tomorrow during the day and a couple other time slots, you're going to have high school football, including the first game on Saturday on ESPN, Trinity Christian, Texas, who lost last week at MRA. They're going to play against Knoxville Catholic from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Does it say where that game is being played?
No. It does not say where.
I'd hate to know those guys are loading up in the bus again and headed to Knoxville.
Yeah, where is that? Okay, let's see if it says it right here. That's tomorrow at like 11 a.m., Trinity Christian versus Knoxville Catholic, but it doesn't give me a location for the game. Same thing, like tonight, the St. Paul's versus Spanish Fort game on ESPN is 6 o'clock, followed by tonight at 9, a kickoff for Corner Canyon versus Bingham out in Utah. The Trinity Christian Knoxville game tomorrow at noon Eastern, 11 Central. And then after that one, you're going to have Bentonville West in Arkansas versus Broken Arrow High School from Oklahoma. That's tomorrow afternoon. On ESPN2 tomorrow night, you got St. Xavier from Ohio versus Brownsburg, Indiana. Tomorrow night, late on ESPN2, you'll have Century Bismarck from North Dakota versus Legacy High School, North Dakota. And then you're going to have one high school game as a part of this on ESPN Sunday at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Pickering North High School from Ohio versus Pickering Central High School from Ohio. Sounds like a rivalry. North, Central, East, Southwest, all that. So that's what you're going to get. As far as the location, though, I don't know. I guess we'll have to tune in to see where they are. But you're right, JB. I mean, they rode on a bus like 9 hours from Dallas to Jackson last Friday. They going all the way to Knoxville this week?
Yeah. I'm picking Pickering in that game.
You picking Pickering?
Mm-hmm.
You picking?
Pickering.
Atta baby. All right, hour 2 coming up. We're going to have more fun in hour 2 than we did hour 1. I don't know how that's possible. We'll try. Stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with autopay and paperless billing. Even without autopay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasin' sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sausage, countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wyatt stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without ever setting foot on it. They've got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. It's really cool. You got to check it out. And if you're selling property, Matt's going to get you consistent reports, comprehensive reports of who's looking, how many people looked at your listing. You need to let him help you. Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. Call him, 601-408-5155. Hey, if you listen to the show, you know that the new third hour of the Matt Wyatt Show is brought to you by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Here's what you need to know. If you're looking for a weekend home or condo, full-time residence, investment property, maybe just an apartment to lease, you got a student going to school at State, call Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. In Starkville, it's 323-8618, or look them up online, overstreetproperties.com.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Let's go. Hour 2 of the show has started. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team. Hometown heroes, your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. Let me tell you something right this minute. They're from right where you are. They live right down the street. They go to church with you. You see them at the restaurant, down at the cafe when y'all are having breakfast before work. That's where your Farm Bureau insurance agent is. That's the way it is with that company. In fact, you're going to be sitting there tonight rooting on the home team. You're going to be two of the people there for your favorite little football player or cheerleader or band member, and you're going to look and your local Farm Bureau insurance agent going to be sitting 6 feet over there with his family. That's the way it works at Farm Bureau.
Yes, it does, because I happen to have a nephew that's a Farm Bureau agent.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
He must be a good guy.
Well, of course he is. He's related to me.
Well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Thanks for the correction, Fletch. That's right. It's St. Paul's in Mobile versus cross the bay rival Spanish Fort, not Spain Park. Spain Park is from Birmingham. That's what I was thinking about. Spanish Fort is also, which would make sense, right? How many Spanish forts were ever built in Birmingham? What did they do? Built them on the Coosa River? Come on, Matt. It's called Spanish Fort. Of course it's on the bay. Or near the ocean. Think.
The Gulf.
The Gulf, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hang in there with me. Just hang in there. All right, so it's St. Paul's versus Spanish Fort, and that's going to be a... Let me tell you, they get after it. Years ago, when I was a part of the broadcast for the C Spire Bright Lights games, we had Daphne versus Fairhope. Okay, same side of the Mobile Bay as Spanish Fort, but right out on the water, right? And you got Daphne, then you go a few more miles, and there's Fairhope. And when I say a few miles, that's what I mean. And the star of the game that night for Daphne was a young running back named T.J. Yeldon, who was an Auburn commitment and rushed for over 300 yards in that nationally televised high school game. And a few weeks later, flipped his commitment to Alabama. You got to love it. All right.
What else I love is the Fletch not only sent you the correction via text, he sent a map.
Here's a map for you, Matt. Hey, Matt, you might like coloring books better. Let me give you a visual. Thanks, Fletch. Strike up the band. Strike up the band. Come on. Roll down your windows. Turn it up to 11. Here comes the sonic boom through your speaker. Yeah! So, tonight, one of the matchups that's happening out here, Mr. Brojo, Clinton native, Clinton Christian is hosting Greenville St. Joseph. Greenville St. Joe's, defending state champs. They're 1-0 and they're pretty good, wouldn't you say?
Yes, they are really good. That was part of the shakeup that the folks like St. Joe, Greenville St. Joe, St. Andrews, and some other schools that played in the MHSAA
right.
A couple years ago, they transferred and got in the MAIS.
Right.
Which is probably better suited for them as far as the classifications and the number of kids. But the Warriors from Clinton Christian Academy are not shabby. They're good. Got a pretty good team.
And they're hungry. They lost last week, so they're 0-1, and they need a win at home tonight. That's an underrated big game. I can't wait. Come on!
Big time.
Woo! And speaking of Greenville St. Joe's, there is a player at Mississippi State who is a true freshman who not a lot of people are talking about right now. I mean, they have a loaded position group at running back, okay? They're loaded at running back. Well, this guy is a running back, and he went to St. Joe's. Dylan Johnson. There's a lot of running backs that you're talking about at State, but let me tell you something based on my own observation. This cat can go. Okay, well, he wasn't a 5-star, Matt. Okay, fine. Listen to me. I trust my eyeballs, all right? Just remember I told you this name, would you? They've got him listed at number 23 in your roster. Dylan Johnson, true freshman running back, 6 feet tall, 215. This guy can go. 3-star player coming out of high school, top 15 in the state of Mississippi. Won 3 straight state titles. Put together the longest winning streak in the state at 24 games during that time. Last year in the state championship game, scored 3 touchdowns on 7 carries. Okay, in the state title game, 3A of MAIS. Played on defense, had 8 tackles and an interception. Finished the year with 1,668 rushing yards and 24 touchdowns on the ground. He also threw 3 touchdowns in the air, forced 5 fumbles on defense. He's a great player. Okay, but let me just, and not a lot of people talking about him. Let me tell you something. Trust my eyes. This cat can go. Wouldn't be surprised one bit to, in a few months, everybody else go, hey, that cat can go. Okay? That's probably what's going to happen. Well, look, all right, let me back away from football just for 1 second. Special treat for JB, who, like me, has an affinity for fishing shows that we used to watch on Sunday afternoons after church in the 80s and 90s. And I told you this was on here. And it doesn't sound great, but here's a snippet. The Orlando Wilson Fishing Show with guest star fishing with him in the boat at Lake Okeechobee in Florida, Jerry Clower. Let's see what it sounds like.
Largemouth bass. But this lake, covering 700 square miles, is full of these scrappy members of the sunfish family. Throughout the South, bluegill and shellcrackers are called brim, but Jerry Clower calls them perch. And since these are his favorite fish, he calls himself a perch jerker. Jerry is accustomed to fishing for bluegill in submerged treetops, but today, Orlando is
Hold on
showing...
real quick. Hey, did you hear that, JB?
Perch jerker. It sounds like he's saying porch.
Yeah, hey, and I want to make sure the audio, as far as the volume level on this, is it coming through okay to you?
Yeah,
okay.
Sounds good.
I just want to make sure. All right, let's hear Jerry Clower in the boat fishing at Lake Okeechobee with Orlando Wilson. Let's see.
Something new. They'll be fishing the shallow banks that extend far out into this natural lake. That's because this time of year, early July,
come on, man, get to it.
On their nest in preparation for spawning. And as usual, Jerry will have a couple of tall tales to tell.
Let's see. Come on. Let Jerry talk. Here we go.
Are you rolling? Are you rolling? Are you rolling for the judgment day?
Orlando.
Uh-huh.
I love you. I love your family. We friends, ain't we?
Yes, sir.
I can't lie to you. We ain't gonna catch no brim unless we get closer to the bank in a treetop and get us a cricket.
You think?
Ooh, I don't have no faith in this, Orlando.
He's sitting out in the middle of Lake Okeechobee. And, they've got those long shell beds that they're out in the middle of the lake, and it ain't but 10 feet deep out there, And Jerry Clower, who grew up fishing on the Yazoo in a John boat, says, we're not catching any brim unless we get up closer to the bank in a treetop and get ourselves a cricket or something. There's a lot more there. We might get into some of that later. Okay, Bill is on the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. You're a Kubota dealer, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. That means they've been doing it better longer than anyone else at Davini. Bill, thanks for calling. What's up?
Well, I just wanted to mention I was cruising up a road called Manhattan. Manhattan doesn't mean anything to you, does it?
I don't think so. Manhattan, I mean, all I know about Manhattan is New York.
Oh, ask JB what he knows about Manhattan.
JB, where's Manhattan, the other Manhattan?
Well, there used to be a school on Manhattan Road in North Jackson.
Oh, yes.
There's nothing left there, but something that JB's probably familiar with, there's a set of goalposts.
Okay.
That is true.
They barely can see them. They're underneath all the trees and all the brush.
Is that right?
But they're still standing.
That's cool.
They haven't played football there in, 35, maybe 40 years, JB?
I think the last game was Woodland Hills Academy. They were there, and I think they closed that in '93. So that would have been.
Do you ever have any great players come through there?
They were mainly known for their baseball and basketball.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And that one quarterback.
Yeah. Jeff Gray was a good quarterback. I remember those goalposts specifically because that was the last high school extra point I ever kicked in the fall of 1980.
So you kicked on that field, huh?
I did. Yeah.
About that.
We beat Canton Academy. I actually, this sounds egomaniacal. It's not meant that way. I actually scored the touchdown and then kicked the extra point on the last touchdown of my career.
How
the
about
amazing
that?
thing is, if you look at the goalposts, they don't look like they're more than 2-inch diameter.
Oh, really?
I mean, they're a little bitty goalpost.
How about that? I need to go see that with you one of these days when I'm down there.
Yeah, man.
You know, at this point.
But anyway, I just wanted to. I heard him mention earlier in the week or the end of last week that he went to Manhattan. My wife graduated there in '77. So.
Very cool.
Asked her if she remembered that quarterback. She said, "I think I remember the name, but I'm not sure." What year did you graduate, JB?
I finished in '81.
81.
Yeah.
How about that?
All right.
Very
well, anyway,
cool.
Thanks for
calling. Take y'all down memory lane.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. How about that, JB? So the field you played on is not a field anymore.
It's a field, but it's just a field full of weeds and trees.
But the goalpost is still there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's a picture right there. You need to go take a picture of it with it all grown up and hang it on your wall. Right? And sign, take the picture, get it framed, and sign the bottom part of it and write Uncle Rico. So that's what I do at all my stuff. I start thinking about playing days. I remind myself I'm nothing more than an Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
It kind of works out that way.
The older I am, the better I got.
Yeah, that's it. I saw a guy wearing that T-shirt at a game one time. The older I get, the better I was. That's the way that it works a lot of times.
Yeah, that kind of took me back down memory lane for a minute.
So you score. So what? Your last game or the last touchdown?
The last game I ever played in high school football.
You scored a touchdown and then you kicked the extra point.
Scored a touchdown, kicked the extra point. Yeah, I remember thinking to myself because I knew I wasn't going to play football in college.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to spend the rest of your life wishing you had made this extra point. I can still see it going through. I mean, it's one of those weird memories you have. You know?
Yeah, right. That's great. High school football, man, that's just, to me, it's like what it's all about. I really get tired of the constant, referencing high school football and measuring it by, well, this kid can play at the next level, and this kid's being recruited, and you should watch this high school game because there are this many Division I recruits in it. And I mean, that's great, but that's not what it's about. It's about all the kids out there who are thinking to themselves, I'm never going to play any more football after this. I better make this extra point because this is it for me. That's what high school football is about.
The camaraderie.
Yes.
I watched both my boys play high school football, and one had a little more success than the other, but they'll tell you to this day the thing they loved the most was the friendships and the camaraderie that they had with the guys they played with. Yeah. I mean, they're both lifelong friends with kids they played football and baseball with.
Yeah. My dad's in his upper 60s, and he tells stories about stuff that happened in high school football games, and he names all the teammates,
Mm-hmm.
right? What position they were playing, what their names were. And see, he was fortunate enough to grow up in the same town his whole life, right? And
Right.
still had connections to that town, and still does. Still has brothers who live in that town that he grew up in. And so it's not only like this guy over here who I know his name, we're the same age, and he's playing defensive tackle and I'm playing defensive end. It's you also know his grandparents.
Yeah.
And where his great-grandparents are from. And now you know his grandkids. And
Have
it's
Sunday
just
lunch with them.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and there are all those things that are involved in high school football that I hate it that from a media perspective, and I guess we're all guilty of it in varying degrees, whether it's TV or radio or whatever, but we all get caught up in the stuff that is trivial, that doesn't really matter as much. And that is, well, that team over there has got one kid on it who's being recruited. Well, so what? That's not what this is about. That'll take care of itself. Let me know when he gets there.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know, can this community's kids outwork this community's kids tonight? That's what it's about. High school football.
Well, some of the best high school football I've seen in the last 25 years was when I was pastoring down at Centerville Baptist Church, but our kids went to Centerville Academy. And Coach Bill Hurst has been there, I think, since Jesus was born. But just a great guy and what he instills in those players. And, I mean, he's been coaching almost 40 years.
Mm.
And some of the dads that had kids that were playing then had played for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they shared the same stories. They shared the same love of football.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you're saying, it was a community thing. That's what you did. Friday night, we're going to the football game.
Right. Man, you know, and for you growing up, tell me again where, like, you grew up, pretty much your childhood.
I grew up mainly in North Jackson, spent a few years in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Early elementary in Baton Rouge. But
so when you went to high school games, what high school did you go watch?
Well, in 7th grade, I went to prep, so we were going
Okay.
I was going to preps games.
You going to watch their games?
Oh yeah, Jack Carlisle and Buddy Crosby were the coaches, and Ken Toller played. Greg Woods, quarterback that went on and played at Baylor, which to me was phenomenal.
Yeah,
back then,
sure.
because but yeah, and the first high school game I ever saw, I was 6 years old. We lived in Yazoo City, and we went to Vicksburg, me and my dad, to see the Vicksburg Gators and the Yazoo City Indians.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
That was your first game, was at Vicksburg High School?
First game ever.
Isn't that awesome?
And then my son, they both played in that same stadium that I saw, 30 years later.
Yeah. Look, my buddy Jay from Tupelo, he's watching on Twitter Periscope. He said in Mississippi, high school football is our town versus your town.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. And he's exactly right. Nothing like it. The first high school football game I ever saw, laid eyes on, I was preschool age. My dad was the pastor at a small church in Prattville, Alabama, called Pratt Court Baptist Church. That church sits on the corner of a street intersection in downtown Prattville. It sits on the corner right across from Stanley Jensen Stadium, the stadium that the high school plays. And we lived in a trailer, a little 2-bedroom trailer about 3 blocks down the street from the church. And I vaguely remember it, but I've always vaguely remembered it. He put me up on his shoulders, and I rode on his shoulders as he walked. There were sidewalks. He walked down the sidewalk, crossed the street, walked up to the fence, didn't buy a ticket, but just walked up to the fence, and we kind of stood there at the fence, and I was on his shoulders, and I could see that football game going. I remember seeing the lights and the colors and stuff. That's the first one I ever laid eyes on. I guess I was probably 3 years old, 4. Then we moved away, a couple different places in between, and then at the end of my 8th grade year, we moved back to Prattville, and he was the pastor of another church in Prattville, a new one there called Glenwood. And so I went to all 4 years of high school, so I actually then played my high school football in that stadium. It was pretty cool. But growing up, spent most of my childhood in Russellville, Alabama, and going to those games. And you're right, that was another one of those classic, southeastern United States small towns that was a football town. I don't know that they are still in Russellville, but back then it was. And JB, man, look, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, all those years, every Friday night, whether it was hot or whether it was cold or raining or snowing sometimes, everybody was at the game, including us. It's like church. People had their own parking spaces. It's like, so-and-so's here because there's his car in his spot.
Yeah, but and as a kid, you look up to those guys that are playing the high school game, and they might as well be NFL players to a kid in elementary school.
Absolutely right. You are absolutely right. JB, I remember this so vividly. I was in the 3rd grade in Russellville, my daughter's age, okay? And I stood by the locker room with my dad one night when the team was coming out for kickoff. And these players were running out and running beside me in those black and gold uniforms. One of them was a guy named Chad Whitfield, who we went to the same church as Chad and his family. And Chad might as well have been in those pads. He wore number 5. He was a defensive end. And he probably was 6'2", 210 pounds. But to me, he might as well have been Hulk Hogan. When he came running by, I'd never seen anything so big in all my life. And then there comes number 2, running out of the locker room. Click,
ain't nothing
click,
like it.
Click, click, click. Those cleats on that concrete. Number 2, Chucky Mullins. You're like, oh! I was within 4 feet of Chucky Mullins. He must have been 7 feet tall. Y'all stick around.
There's a lot of noise.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. country pleasing sauce. It's countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, country pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt... I just had something pop up on Twitter that's interesting here, I think. Possible... Well, just a feather in the cap for a local kid. We're talking about high school players going on playing college ball. Within the last hour, the All-State Sugar Bowl tweeted out a note about Jack Abraham, the quarterback at Southern Miss. He's on the Manning Award watch list. Jack Abraham on the Manning Award watch list. Oxford High School quarterback. Took them to the state title game. I think, who beat them? Somebody beat them in that title game. Who was it? But anyway, had a great high school career. Put up big numbers last year as a starting quarterback for Jay Hobson down at Southern Miss. He returns and will play in less than a week. Southern Miss going to host South Alabama next Thursday night in Hattiesburg. They tweeted out that Jack was one of 3 Southern Miss quarterbacks to throw for 3,000 yards in a season. He had 3,496 yards last year, accounted for 25 total touchdowns. And he's on the Manning Award watch list. I didn't realize that. I did not.
That's pretty good because, I mean, 2 quarterbacks that I thought were very, very good at Southern Miss before Abraham got there was Mullins and Austin Davis.
No doubt. Yeah, both those guys. Yeah, Southern Miss has put more quarterbacks in the NFL than anybody else around here. State and Ole Miss included. Haven't they? Yep, I think if we add them up, the number of guys who were quarterbacks at Southern Miss that have gone on to the NFL and played in actual NFL games as quarterbacks. I think you got more of them from Southern Miss than anybody, or as many from Southern Miss as anybody. Yep. And they've got a nice run going. Sure do. All right, so y'all can be a part of the show. Everybody watching on the live stream, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. If you comment, type it in, I'll see it. Same thing, Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. Will says, Matt, have you seen the reports that the Big Ten coaches are meeting to try and make a plan to play starting around November? Will, we talked about that a little bit earlier, and yes, I did see it. I think makes sense that they're trying to make it happen in the fall because they're not going to play in the spring. Those coaches know it. They may have zipped their lips for the time being. That's why they're having a phone call, Will. They know they're not playing a college football season in the spring because they can't then turn around and play another one in the fall. 6 months later, 5 months later. It's dumb. It's dumb from the word go. It ain't happening. So they know we better figure out a way to play some games. How are you going to go about making this reversal? Well, that's why they're talking about it. The key is this, though, Will. The coaches can want it all they want it. Players can want it all they want it. But the decision has already been made now, and it would require the presidents of those schools coming back and reversing it. Do you think those university presidents as those schools have the backbone to go in there and vote it and reverse it if that's what the coaches and players and parents want? After, for a month now, those presidents at those schools have been getting pats on the back from a lot of their alumni. They've been getting congratulatory phone calls from their counterparts, presidents at Ivy League schools. Some of them are already looking forward to hanging out, in some remote location this fall with their pinky up, sipping champagne next to those Ivy League presidents. They can't wait for it. You think those same people are going to come back in here and vote football back in? Doubt it. Good riddance. Mother Goose. Now, what is this about? Mother Goose on the Country Pleasing text line says, Churro still fishes with a Snoopy rod and reel. Wears his 90s coach's shorts. It's gross.
I didn't know they had coach's shorts in the 90s. I thought those things went out in the mid-80s.
In the 80s? Remember those coach's shorts?
Bike.
What?
Oh, I wore them to play softball in back in the day, man.
Of course you did. Yeah. And let me guess. You had on the cleats and the socks that went halfway up your calf.
No, I wore the no-show socks, and I did wear the Nike Tiger Sharks.
Okay.
Cleats.
The coach's shorts that were really too short, and they were super duper polyester.
No. But these were super duper polyester, but these were the elongated versions.
Okay, the longer ones.
Not the Speedo looking tight coach's shorts.
Man,
these were longer.
But I had coaches who still wore the short ones. They had those two big buttons on the front,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I had this one coach in high school that the madder he got, the more anger he got at you, the higher he pulled those shorts up. He'd get up. That was his deal. He'd grit his teeth and get close and get up in your face, and he'd start pulling on. And by the time he got through hollering and pointing at you, he'd pulled his shorts so far up that it was gross.
That's
Mother
the reason
Goose.
He was red.
It was gross.
Well, we had our softball team in seminary. We were called the Low Pockets, and we had some pretty nice uniforms that our guys had put together, and we had the longer version, kind of the Bermuda short version.
Like you could slide in them and it'd protect the...
Right.
You wouldn't get a big strawberry.
Or the sliding pants underneath, yeah. Yeah, because, I've got a picture of me in high school wearing those basketball shorts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, man. Swimsuits today have more threads on them.
No doubt about it. Whoever came up with that, that's another thing that was dumb. It's just dumb. That's all we can say about it. Maybe it was in. Just because it was in doesn't mean it wasn't dumb. Those shorty shorts for basketball players was dumb. White Denzel on the Country Pleasing text says, I have a funny feeling that Leak beats J.A. tonight. Let's go Rebs. Only time I'll ever say it. So you're pulling against J.A., huh? Is that what it's all about there, Denzel? Just straight up pulling against them, huh? Hey, look, I got something for you here. Speaking of Rebs and private school football, now you're referencing J.A. So Jerrion Ely, running back and baseball player at Ole Miss, played at Prep. Do I have that right?
You do.
All right, so he went to Prep. Mm-hmm. And look, the guy is super duper talented. He's like otherworldly fast, was really good, had some home run plays last year for Ole Miss. But, freshmen are freshmen. You can't get them on the field as much as you want to for a lot of reasons. Well, he's not a freshman anymore. And the Ole Miss media, they talked to him earlier this week. This is former Prep star Jerrion Ely going into his sophomore year as a running back at Ole Miss. Listen to his comment. The question was about, getting the pads back on and being out there for football, and for he and John Rice kind of making the transition from being baseball players last spring for a little while. He talks about that. In the middle of it, he kind of shows you and talks about his disgust for Mississippi State. Listen closely for that. Here's Jerrion Ely.
It was exciting. I was excited to be back. For most players, they normally have the spring, and so they would put pads on in the spring. So everybody was kind of on my schedule now, me and JR's schedule. So, it was great. It was great to be out. Everybody was flying around. Everybody was just excited to be in pads. It's the first time we've been in pads since the school, wherever they at. I don't even want to talk about them no more. I don't even want to think about that game. But that was the last time we had on pads, and it was just fun and exciting. Just have them on again.
He thought about saying like the school down south or the school this, and then he just, I don't know, wherever they're at. I don't even want to think about that game. Here's what Jerrion Ely says he's thinking about working on right now.
I want to improve as a blocker. I want to be more consistent with my runs, so to speak. I left a lot of yards out there last year, and I just want to take full advantage of everything that the defense gives me. Just instead of having the linebacker far over to the right, he would be still playing play side instead of over pursuing. It's just things like that. It's just moving around pieces. It's kind of like I'm playing chess with him now. I want to move him one way and do the opposite, kind of.
So there you go, Jerrion Ely. Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. On the phone is Matt. What up, Matt?
Hey, guys. Can y'all hear me on the speaker?
Yep, got you loud and clear. What's up?
Hey, man, I was just going to chime in on y'all reminiscing about Manhattan and prep. I was a young kid, about 1973, 74, would have made me 6 years old. And every Friday night at 7:30, prep would play whoever was in town on a home game. And my brother John played then. That was the last year Coach Carlisle was there. And then he went to Ole Miss and Coach Crosby took over. But the pregame for prep and a lot of schools back then was tremendous. The band you could hear marching from the other side of the campus at the band hall. They would march in behind the stadium and come through, and the Pacers, the dancers would be right behind them, and then the cheerleaders, and they would all come through in a huge line. And, of course, as a kid, it seemed like they were 300 large, but I know it may not have been that much. But they would march in behind the stadium and then up into the stadium stands. And as a kid, we would sit on that top rail of the stadium looking over when they walked in. And then prep was a powerhouse back then. They had a lot of D1 signees. I know that doesn't, y'all are talking about that not mattering
okay.
much. But they were the only big private school in Jackson area at that time until the early mid-'80s when JA and MRA started coming along. And but it was such, like you said, those guys, I thought those guys were like Hall of Fame,
yeah.
Grange, the big guys, old Hall of Fame type players, and you just looked up to them and worshipped them, and you kind of looked at your older brother like that until he beat you up and then took away the luster. But anyway, it was a big time game, and they did things right back then.
Matt,
for years,
hey, I hate to interrupt you, but the music's about to cut you off. Feel free to hang on. We'll let you finish. Stick around.
There's a lot of noise.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C-Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with autopay and paperless billing. Even without autopay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasin' sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan, put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sausage, countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying
better than his? And he's right here, right now, online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Back on the show. Thanks for tuning in. However you're listening or watching the live stream, hey to y'all. Really enjoy spending a little time with you here on a Friday. Thanks for pulling up a chair and having a seat and jumping in the conversation with me and JB. I'm coming right back to you, Matt. Hang on real quick. I just want to read this text from Coffee Norman, who says, Matt, do you remember a fishing show with a guy named Archie Phillips? I froze a big bass and mailed it to him to mount. He was from Alabama. Man, Norman, yes. And I hadn't thought about Archie Phillips in years, but yes. I saw a lot of the Archie Phillips hunting and fishing show or whatever they called it, but it was Archie Phillips, and like half the commercials were him. And he'd tell you, on every show, he would tell you how to, if you catch a big bass, I almost said it wrong, if you catch a big bass, how to wrap it up in newspaper and how to pack it in like some box or something and send it to him to mount it for you, because his like the TV show was just the side gig. It was the taxidermy business. And I have not thought about Archie Phillips in years. Was his show on in Mississippi? I thought it, my whole life growing up, I thought it was just an Alabama thing. He was from, where was he from? Fairfield? Somewhere in that area. And I found a thing where he actually passed away in the summer of 2018. So right at just close to 2 years ago. He was 82 years old. He passed away in 2018. The Archie Phillips, Outdoors with Archie Phillips TV show went on the air in the late 1950s, aired continuously up until the time that he passed away in 2018. You can find it all over YouTube. Yeah, just off I-59 in Fairfield. Let's see. Phillips mounted his first animal, a pigeon, when he was a youngster in an effort to get a Boy Scout taxidermy merit badge. Fell in love with the taxidermy business at that point. was a taxidermist throughout high school, continued his taxidermy business while working his way through Auburn's business school. He once estimated his business had mounted 500,000 deer, fish, and other animals over more than 7 decades. How about that? Apparently, he had gone fishing. He was 82. This is summer of 2018. Went fishing. Right after that, he fell down, broke his collarbone, apparently had a heart attack while he was in the hospital. Archie Phillips. Sure do. Thanks for bringing that up. I hadn't thought about him in years. I have to go back and watch some of his stuff on YouTube, Norman. Thank you. All right. Matt was talking about memories of high school football on the Davini Equipment phone. Matt, appreciate you hanging on. So you were saying, right when you got cut off, you were saying that JA back in the day, they did things right. What did you mean by that?
Jackson Prep and Indianola.
Okay.
Jackson Prep and Indianola played every year for I don't know how many years during the mid-'70s, early '80s, and usually it ended up being those two for the championship, for the AAA championship back then. And they did things right because they would write up in the paper all week long building up the game, and then whether the game was in Jackson, actually Flowood, or up in Indianola, they would treat each other's team to a steak dinner, baked potato in the cafeteria at each school as a pregame meal, and then they would play the game, and of course, it was pretty ferocious, but it determined who won the state championship, and they just did things right. They hated each other, but they respected each other's program, and they just showed a lot of respect for each fan base, and, it was charter buses for prep, for the parents and students and everything. But you'll love this, Matt. My dad played for Darrell Oil back at Mississippi State during the mid-'50s, and he would come to every game, and usually he was coaching me or my younger brother David, who won 3 state championships at Prep in a row with Crosby. But he would come to every game with the coaching shorts with the buttons, and usually blue or red because Prep colors, and then he had the 1970s mesh shirt that said "Get Fired Up" on the front of it in printed letters. So he had the tube socks up to his knees, and that's just, I know people freak out when you say that, but that's just the way it was in the 70s, and nobody thought about it. He even had the full length pants, coaching pants. Yeah. But anyway, it was just incredible, atmosphere. And then, Matt, you may remember way back, they used to have doubleheader games at Memorial Stadium with State and Ole Miss playing LSU or Arkansas or whoever. Mm-hmm. And, they played about 6 games a year there.
Right. Matt, I talked yesterday morning to Shane Matthews, the former Florida quarterback, great player for Spurs.
Yeah,
and Shane, we got on the subject of games in Jackson at the stadium there, and the doubleheaders and stuff. And this is on his show, his podcast. And I sort of knew this, but I didn't really remember it. But Shane grew up, of course, in Mississippi. He was kind of born and raised in Cleveland. Went to high school to begin with there at Cleveland. Then they moved, and he finished his high school career at Pascagoula. But they were big Ole Miss fans. Both of his parents went to Ole Miss. Shane grew up a diehard Ole Miss fans, and so he grew up going to Ole Miss games at the...
I did not know that. They messed up missing signing him, though.
Well, but think about this, Matt. This is what I told JB yesterday. What are the chances of both Peyton Manning and Shane Matthews growing up massive Ole Miss fans with parents who played and went to school there, going to all their games, and one goes to Tennessee and becomes an All-American and a pro, and the other one goes to Florida and becomes an All-American of the pro, and neither of them go to Ole Miss? I mean, the chances of that are just astronomical.
Well, no offense to the coaches and that were there at Ole Miss and back then, but there's they had better coaching staffs and better programs and more money and just everything than Ole Miss back then. Even though Ole Miss fought hard, I mean, they just didn't have the clout that those programs did, and it's understandable. I know Ole Miss gets rubbed the wrong way, but he had a choice to go to Tennessee or Ole Miss, and both of them, and Florida. But I mean, Tennessee and Florida were in the hunt for the national championship every year, and Ole Miss was wanting to win 5 or 6 games. So there's a hell of a lot of difference.
Yeah,
so,
there's a big difference there for sure. No doubt about it. Really interesting stuff. Matt, I appreciate the memories, man. Thank you.
Hey, man, thanks. Good show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate your call. Call me anytime.
Matt's a good dude, man. He, his dad was one of my first all-star baseball coaches.
Okay.
And he has 2 older brothers. The oldest brother I faced my first year in Little League, he was a 12-year-old. We called him Hummin' Tim's because he could frickin' blaze that fastball.
He could throw it out.
There never was a problem. A good low inside fastball wouldn't take right out.
What was the line in the Glory Days song by Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, yeah.
Throw that speed ball by you?
Yeah.
Like, who calls it a speed ball?
Every time I start talking about the old days, I've got a buddy, and he cranks up that air guitar, and he goes, darn, Glory Days.
That's great. Yeah, we have a tendency to relive those. You know why we do it, JB? Because nobody else is going to do it for us. That's for sure. Hey, but on the pants, okay, so the coaching pants, the old bike, you had the shorts and the pants.
Yeah.
The shorty basketball shorts made out of that thick polyester. I got to wear some shorts like that one year on the basketball team, my 9th grade year on the basketball team at Prattville High School. Nobody cared about basketball in Prattville. They still don't. Okay? They just did it because they had to.
Right.
And so they didn't even buy new uniforms. So our uniforms were the old Prattville uniforms that they've been just washing them, handing them out every year for years. These things went back to had to go back to the early 80s for sure. So the shorts themselves were the red, crimson Prattville color, shorty shorts. But we got to looking around in the coach's office one day, and in the closet were boxes full of full warm-up suits that went with those uniforms. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The pants were bell-bottom button-ups. When I say button-ups, I'm talking all the way to the floor so that you could tear them off, right? Like you grab the warm-up pants and just tear them off and all the buttons come loose and now you're in your shorts, right? They were bell-bottoms, but get this. The school colors were red and white. These bell-bottom warm-up pants were striped.
Yeah.
Vertical striped, red and white bell-bottom button-up warm-up pants. There is a reason they were in a box in a closet.
They didn't want you to wear them, man.
But we discovered them, and we thought, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Man, the NBA teams have warm-ups. Let's wear warm-ups. We get them out. We start trying them on. We get the ones that fit different. Coach comes in. What are y'all doing? Coach, we want to wear these. Y'all ain't wearing those. We talked him into it. We wear them out for the warm-ups the next game, and I'm not kidding you. You could hear it audibly in the gym. Fans of both teams laughing at us while we were.
I thought you were going to say they were in silent.
Well, no, we could hear them all laughing at us while we were in our layup lines, to begin warm-ups.
Like the Globetrotters.
They thought it was a joke. Man, these guys are wearing bell-bottoms. So they lasted one night. We tried it one time.
I sent you verifiable evidence of how short the shorts were when I played.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that. An M on the short. That's you. The picture's black and white, y'all. I just thought I'd throw that out there. M on the side for Manhattan.
Yep. And we're playing against Woodland Hills, and they had uniforms that were UCLA copies.
Uh-huh. Look at that. Classic 80s. Hour 3 coming up. Y'all stick around.
There's a lot of noise.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank. because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without ever setting foot on it. They've got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. It's really cool. You got to check it out. And if you're selling property, Matt's going to get you consistent reports, comprehensive reports of who's looking, how many people looked at your listing. You need to let him help you. Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. Call him, 601-408-5155. Hey, if you listen to the show, you know that the new third hour of the Matt Wyatt Show is brought to you by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Here's what you need to know. If you're looking for a weekend home or condo, full-time residence, investment property, maybe just an apartment to lease, you got a student going to school at State, call Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. In Starkville, it's 323-8618, or look them up online, overstreetproperties.com.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
I'm picking up your sarcasm.
I'm good with you.
Okay. So, well, good. I've got my echo coming back to me, so if you just switch me off, and then I'll
switch you off.
Yeah.
Let me count you back in. Let's just start talking in 3,
all right.
2, 1.
And back. Here we are in the Farm Bureau studio, back with you on this Friday. I'm Matt. JB's here. Beaver's even here. You got Jake coming up. JB's behind the wheel. Got 10 and 2. Both hands on the wheel. Going to get you pulled safely into the driveway right up to the front door of the drive with Jake Wimberly and Beaver coming up here on the zone at 3. There's lots of high school football to get into. And look, high school football has kind of been a theme today, and that has been a ton of fun. Appreciate you listening in, tuning in. However, if you're on the live stream right now, you're listening on Facebook or YouTube or on the Periscope live feed, y'all feel free to ask a question, comment, type away. I'll see all of them here. Same thing for the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' Sausage, on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Y'all text me. It's a great way to communicate on the show. 885-ESPN. That's the number to text, 601-885-ESPN. If you need the number itself, it's 885-3776. So text the show. Call me. I'd love to hear your voice also. The Davini phone, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. Call me. We'll talk. A lot to get into here in hour number 3, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Overstreet Properties in Starkville. If you're headed to Starkville, you going up there? Do you live out of town? You're going in for ball games? So, hey, maybe you need a place to stay this weekend or every weekend during football season, basketball season, baseball season. Maybe you're moving up there permanently. Investment property, which a lot of people are getting into in that Starkville area around campus. Well, look, Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties can help you with all of that. Just remember this, y'all. Even if it's just you got a student, you need to lease an apartment, go there first. Go to Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. Find out all the contact info at overstreetproperties.com. And trust me, you're going to be glad that I sent you there first, okay? Great people, and they've got whatever it is, and you're going to find the right kind of people and the best kind of deals that you're going to want to work with when you get there. Since I know Beaver is here and can hear me, let's get the show started right.
25 seconds left to play.
You're listening to the Matt Wyatt Show.
I want winners.
This crowd is alive.
Play to win the game.
Wyatt from the shotgun, 2 backs alongside.
Knock him out, John.
Wyatt gets the ball.
It won't be long.
Wyatt back to throw. Wyatt looks, fires toward the end zone. Passes, caught for touchdown by Matthew Butler.
Speak to
The Matt Wyatt Show. He's Radio Wyatt.
Well, how am I going to go to college? I'll just play football.
Yeah, let's play a little football. That's some Jerry Clower for you. All right, so it's my last hour with you here on this Friday. And you get the drive coming up. We'll get into the weekend. You got football tonight. There is actually high school football on television tonight and tomorrow and Sunday afternoon. You've got college football on television tomorrow night. It's going to be Austin Peay versus Central Arkansas, 8 p.m. kickoff in Montgomery. You got the FCS kickoff game tomorrow night. That's going to be on TV. So what's fun about this is next time we get together, next time I play that intro for you on Monday, we're going to have results. There will be a whole lot less previewing and a lot more reviewing. So let's see how it all goes this weekend, huh? Shall we? Yeah, we'll do just that. High school football. It's just like I've got this rejuvenated affinity for just talking about it and watching it and keeping up with it from everything that goes on. You know, the players, the broadcasts, the stadiums, big, large, small, medium, all things in between, and the bands as well. I like it all. I like it all. The JSU Sonic Boom, imitated, never replicated. That's just the way it is. So, on the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' Sausage, what a memory. Coffee Norman brought up the outdoor show I used to watch growing up, one of them, the Archie Phillips show over in Alabama, and he sent me pictures, y'all. He still has the bass that he sent to Archie Phillips in Fairfield, Alabama, who mounted that largemouth bass, sent it back to him. Really, really cool. Thanks for sending that, Norman. Appreciate it. We brought up Shane Matthews, a former Florida Gators quarterback who actually grew up in Mississippi, was a huge Ole Miss fan as a kid growing up. Bill and Madison. Reminds me, Shane's dad coached, he says he actually coached him. Bill played for him for 2 years at Carthage High School. Was an outstanding receiver for Ole Miss. Had the Bluebonnet Bowl reception record for a long time. So Shane's dad. We was just saying, like, you think about Shane Matthews, Peyton Manning. 2 kids, close to the same age. They both grow up Ole Miss fans, going to all their games. Their dads played there. One goes to Tennessee, the other goes to Florida, sets records, becomes All-Americans, and both become NFL quarterbacks. And it's just crazy how that happens sometimes, huh? Life. Think about what you think about life when you're young, and then doesn't always work out that way, does it? Incredible. Paul on the Periscope feed says Brett Favre played the Monday Night Football game the day his dad died and threw 4 touchdowns in that first deal. No question about it. That was an unbelievable thing. That particular game, I remember watching that. Wasn't that a John Madden game? Wasn't Madden calling that one when Brett Favre did that?
I believe so.
That was incredible. Yeah, I think to go back and find that one. Watch that old classic game. I'd love to see it.
Well, weren't they playing the Raiders out in L.A.?
They were. Yeah. That's it. It was the Raiders, right? Because the Raiders, the classic deal where you go play the Raiders on a night game and, the players are running around on dirt because it's a baseball field also. I mean, they had that look going on then, too. And one last text, then I'm coming to the phone line. Gator Nation on the Country Pleasing text line says, talking about where people went to school, is it true that Rivers had Ole Miss in his final 3, was leaning towards them, but a friend told him Eli was going there, and he had no chance of starting, so he went to, and you didn't remember, but yes, he went to NC State. Philip Rivers, he went to high school in Athens, Alabama, right? Up in northwest, North Alabama. I mean, not necessarily in the northwest corner, but in that area. In the Moulton, Athens area, where he went to high school. His dad was a coach. Maybe that's true. I had not actually heard that, but knew that he went to NC State, and the rest is history for him. Cool story, though. Thank you. All right, here we go. Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Just getting hour number 3 started with you. Presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. You need investment property. Need a place to stay one night. Need a place to stay on the weekends when you go to ball games, condo. Maybe moving there permanently. Maybe you're just going to lease an apartment. Any of that. Overstreet Properties in Starkville. That's where you need to go. Call Kane Overstreet. Look them up at overstreetproperties.com. Jeff on the phone line. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, man. You know how you get an enthusiastic feel of the SEC and, think we're the baddest things, around,
Yeah.
which we are.
Sure.
I saw something on, I forgot it was, they looked at the last 20 years, and they looked at what state dominates. And, of course, you got the Floridas and the Texas. And they were talking about what two schools in each one of the states put more people in the NFL. So I looked at it, and I said, well, Ole Miss, in state, man, we just going to rock Kentucky and, everybody else. Did you know, you just mentioned Phillip Rivers, did you know that North Carolina and North Carolina State has put more people in the NFL than both Mississippi State and Ole Miss?
Is that right? Well,
And that just blew my mind.
and I wonder how recent that was. Was it like this last year when you saw it?
No. They looked from last 20 years.
Okay, yeah.
From 2000 to 2020.
Well, and that's, that is interesting to me. My perception of their programs, Jeff, is for North Carolina, is that they have been more up and down. They're obviously the basketball school, but my perception is that they've been more up and down. They were up when they had Mac Brown, and then down, and then up maybe 1 year with Fedora, and then down, and now back up again. Whereas NC State, pretty much like every year for 20 years, has been a 6 or 7 win team. Just, maybe the occasional 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah, the caption was, you want to look it up, it says the top 50 schools that put people in the NFL. Ole Miss was number 39. State was tied for number 31. And both NC State came in like at number 27. And I think, North Carolina was like number 24.
Wow.
So it just kind of blew my mind.
That I would not have guessed it, off the top of your head.
Me neither, brother.
Yeah, that's really, I'm going to look it up. Was that an ESPN link, or do you remember exactly where it was?
No, I was just looking, I was doing something on Google.
Okay.
And when I did, I saw it said the general managers is ranked the top, 50 schools. I think that's the caption, top 50 schools, puts people in the NFL since the year 2000.
Okay.
And I looked at all the rankings. Boise State's like number 50. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to look at that. I'll see if I can find it. It's really neat. That is really neat. And for a long time, in terms of producing NFL talent, Ole Miss was ahead of Mississippi State. They would have more, every year, or just kind of collectively there for a lot of years, they'd have a few more than State did. If you went, from, early 2000s, on up. But then in these last several years, State has kind of jumped them. Numbers of players in the NFL, numbers of stars and those kinds of things. It's turned now in State's favor. DJ on the Davini Equipment phone. Thanks for calling, DJ. What's up? DJ, you there?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, man.
I had something I wanted to share with you, but I wanted to respond to the previous caller, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
Stats, you cherry pick stats, okay? North Carolina State, if you went traditionally to the modern era of college football, they don't even come close to State and Ole Miss when it comes to NFL prospects. But we do know who's number one in the last 20 years, right?
Well, in the last 20, I'm going to think it would be either Alabama or Ohio State or maybe an LSU or something.
You picked the top two. Ohio State's number one, and believe it or not, in the last 20 years, Alabama's not as close as you would think. Now, in the last 10 years, Alabama is one and Ohio State's number two in the last 10. But you got to remember, Alabama had that period with Mike Price and all of that. You know how Alabama was a little, what I'm saying, the boat was a little unsteady in the early 2000s before Saban came back.
Right.
But the reason I called, when you mentioned the Blue Bonnet Bowl, Blue Bonnet, Weed Whacker, what are some other crazy bowl names we used to have? Those are two of the craziest.
Yeah, had the one I remember was the Poulon Weed Eater Bowl. That was the one in Shreveport forever.
Right.
Yeah.
exactly. And the thing is, it's funny that, bowls. But now, when you were at State, how many bowls did you play in?
I played in 2, my last 2 years of school.
What year did you graduate?
Well, the 99 season was my senior year. So I played in the fall of 99 and then played the fall of 99 and then graduated the following May. Well,
I love to, even though I'm a Ohio State fan big time, I did get my BS at Mississippi State, and I'll keep up with Mississippi State too. They go, when's the last time State played for an SEC championship? And I said, when is the only time that Ole Miss played for an SEC championship? I'll wait, okay? Because it never happened. And the thing is, State was good enough to beat Tennessee. I mean, it was, y'all were good enough to get it done. Like I said, it's just one of those games that a player or two here or there. But hey, I love your show. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Thanks, DJ. Appreciate the call. Yeah, Coach Sherrill, on those 90s teams, he started building it in the mid-90s, where it was a steady stream of, big guys, right? By the mid-90s, by his 4th or 5th year there as the head coach, he had State pretty well recognized as the biggest offensive line in college football. And they would talk about it on television and all that kind of stuff.
When you talk about the Bluebonnet Bowl, the original name was called the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl.
Was it really?
Yeah, because it was at the Houston Astrodome.
Yeah. The bowl
just a
we
little
had,
tidbit, I've got a little stuff on my hard drive that just won't go away.
It won't go away. How about that? We went to Cotton Bowl in '98, then the Peach Bowl the next year. Played Texas one year, and then played Clemson the next year. We lost to Texas in the Cotton Bowl, beat Clemson my senior year in the Peach Bowl. Those are fun experiences, no doubt about it. After having not been to bowls the years before, Coach Sherrill built it. You start with big offensive lineman running game, and then slowly but surely by the late 90s put together the best defense in the country. Hired Joe Lee Dunn. And, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Everybody's got adversity they have to deal with. But the fact is there were not a lot of people in the SEC or in the SEC office who were thrilled that Coach Sherrill was building something at Mississippi State. There were a lot of people that liked it the way it was, where, you had your tried and trues, Tennessees and Floridas and your, Alabamas and Auburns. And he was starting to recruit against them and win, and then play against them and win. Those late 90s teams that I was fortunate enough to be a member of, those teams beat Alabama 3 out of 4 years they played them. They beat Auburn 3 out of 4 years they played them. Beat Ole Miss 3 out of 4 years you played them. And if you think that sat well with other people, you're wrong. So he had to do more than just win ball games. He had to win a lot of other battles as well. Here you go, JB. The number one funniest bowl, or the top bowl names that are considered humorous. The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl for a while there. Number 2.
It's a mouthful.
It is. Number 2, the Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl. Number 3, the Poulan Eater, the Independence Bowl.
There you go.
Number 4, the Magic Jack St. Petersburg Bowl. Then it became the Beef O'Brady's Bowl in St. Petersburg. Number 8, the Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl. Number 9, I forgot about this one. In 2014, it was the Duck Commander in Independence Bowl. Duck Commander. You don't think those folks had some money? They went and bought the name of a bowl game. Duck Commander Independence Bowl. Number 10, the Cherubundi Tart Cherry Boca Raton Bowl.
Lord have mercy.
That's the name of it, man.
Who's thinking up these things?
Cherubundi Tart Boca Raton Bowl. Come on, man.
I sure am glad Jake's not trying to do this off the cuff.
I'm not. I wish he was. I'd love it. I wish he was trying that. Okay, so since 2000, number of players. How about that?
Irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable. Thanks, Jake. The high school in this country that has sent the most players to the NFL, Fork Union Military Academy in Fork Union, Virginia. 70 players all time in the NFL. 14 of them are still active.
I bet they put some NBA players in there too.
All right, just getting started. Hour 3. Stick around.
Purchasing a home can be one of the greatest accomplishments a person can have, or it can become a nightmare. Surround yourself with the best, and Wint McGee of the Bank of England Mortgage is the best there is in mortgage lending and the mortgage process. Wint prides himself on being the best and going above and beyond to ensure your closing process is fast, efficient, and a pleasurable one. Check out the website at mortgagemanms.com or call 601-906-7074 for more information on rates, loans, home equity questions, and more. Wint McGee, the Mortgage Man, NMLS number 184597. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England. NMLS number 418481. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, everyone. This is Mark Shapley of Shapley Steakhouse. When we opened Shapley's 35 years ago, we were practicing social distancing and didn't even know it. Our Delta Speakeasy design is perfect for today's new guidelines. Shapley's main dining room tables are surrounded by walls on 3 sides and nearly 7 feet between the aisles. Shapley's provides award-winning steaks, seafood, and homemade tamales with thoughtful, safe service. Curbside service also available. Shapley's, 601-957-8000 or mmshapleys.com.
Cooking is not only my career, it's my passion. And when I was injured on the job, Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center stepped in. I didn't even need a referral. Their nationally recognized subspecialized surgeons have the highest quality ortho care in the state. They got me back to doing what I love fast. Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center has 17 surgeons focused on your specific injury. Schedule an appointment today and get back to your adventure.
Sometimes you need money in a hurry, and USA Pawn is there to loan cash for your personal items, like jewelry, computers, or almost anything. When you repay your loan, you'll get your item back. It's easy and safe. In business more than 25 years, USA Pawn is licensed and regulated. We're not your typical pawn shop. Get your quick cash loan today at USA Pawn. 3 locations in the Jackson area, plus Vicksburg, Pearl, and Canton. USA Pawn.
Four Roses Small Batch Bourbon was awarded a gold medal at the Denver International Spirits Competition. Small batch means mellow spice, rich fruit, and hints of sweet oak and caramel. Cheers to Four Roses Bourbon, the quality and the taste. Raise a glass with a friend and pair Four Roses Bourbon with a cigar, New York strip, or anything on the grill. Every day is a new bourbon journey with Four Roses Bourbon. Cheers to many mellow moments with Four Roses Bourbon this year.
This is Jake Mangum. Some call me the mayor. No player wins any game by themselves. It takes a team. So if you want excellent customer service and competitive insurance rates, you need to go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau, just like I did.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence or order it online or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020.
Online at 1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
Back with you. Got about a half hour with you left here. We'll finish the week with you strong and then send you over there to The Drive. Jake Wimberly and Beaver coming up at 3 o'clock. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Which Mississippi high school has produced the most NFL players? According to Pro Football Reference, who? Anybody got an idea?
Well, my knee jerk is to say South Panola.
Mm-hmm. It's not South Panola. Not according.
I don't think that's who it is.
Not according to this list. Not who it is. Let's see what kind of answers we get. Now, for fun, anybody can look it up. Okay, so for fun, if y'all have a guess, nobody's going to get called out for being wrong. It's just seeing if we know. According to ProFootballReference.com, which Mississippi high school has produced the most NFL players? See what we come up with right there. Now, the top 50 most represented college football programs in NFL history. Okay. That list, according to stats that also came from ProFootballReference.com. DJ said Ohio State number 1, but what this is showing is that in history, now if we were talking about the last 20 years, it'd be different, but over the history of college football, it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame has produced the most NFL football players of anybody out there, across the history of the NFL. 543 former players. USC is number 2 at 483.
I wonder how much of that occurred before 1990.
I mean, it had to be like this, the huge,
because in the late 60s
majority.
and the 70s, I mean, USC and Notre Dame were two of the powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly in the top 5.
Right.
Consistently sending people in the pros, but I mean, you look back now.
Right.
Name the last person that you know that you can think of that went to Notre Dame that's on a professional football team now.
Yeah. Who? I mean, there's some of them out there, but, man, I don't know.
Other than Mr. Catfish himself, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Right. Matt Daddy guessed on the Country Pleasing text line. He said Madison Central. It's not Madison Central. Okay, according to this list, ProFootballReference.com, the Mississippi high school that has produced the most NFL players is Moss Point. 18 all time. Doesn't have any active players at the moment.
That's funny you say that. I just got a text from a coach that's listening to the show, and he said, I'd say Moss Point or Clarksdale has produced the most high school.
Well, Moss Point has produced 18, and number 2 in Mississippi would be Clarksdale with 17 all-time NFL players. So Clarksdale has – so Moss Point with 18 NFLers, Clarksdale with 17. Give me a second here. I'm going to scroll and see if I can find the next one. It's a pretty comprehensive list that goes down there.
While you're looking, let me ask you: Was Kevin? Did you play with Kevin Fant?
I did.
Was he at State when you were there? Okay.
Yep. He was.
He's a distant cousin, but he played at Moss Point.
Yeah, Moss Point guy. Several guys. Derek Tate was a Moss Point player. Remember Jack Jackson played at Florida?
I do.
I guess caught passes from Shane Matthews there for a while. He was a Moss Point kid. Yeah. So this was a list of the top 100. So it doesn't go beyond 100, the top 100 high schools in the country in terms of the entire country. And the only 2 Mississippi schools on the list would be Moss Point and Clarksdale. So any others would be outside of the top 100. I'm trying to look here at, for an Alabama high school in terms of producing NFL players, and heck, man, I got to go all the way to... I can't find a single Alabama high school on the list. The last group of high schools on this list of the top 100 schools in the country, high schools that have produced NFL players, they're all tied at, they've sent 14 guys to the NFL, several from Georgia, California, a couple from Pahokee High School from Florida, places like that. Melrose in Memphis has sent 14 players to the NFL. There's a bunch on here from Texas. But in the top 100 high schools in terms of sending guys to the NFL ultimately, I can't find one. There's not one single high school in Alabama. Not one. Not a single one. How about that? I didn't think that would be the case, but doggone it is. Okay, I want to get over here to this question. We got a question real quick from an unnamed texter, Country Pleasing text line. It says, is it true that the great running back, Frank Gore, almost went to Ole Miss before choosing the University of Miami? I do believe that's true. I'd always heard that they were recruiting him hot and heavy. Wasn't it Orgeron who was the coach at Ole Miss, and they were recruiting Frank Gore like crazy, and he wound up going to Miami, and of course the rest is history. He's going to be a Hall of Fame guy.
Actually, it was Cutcliffe.
Cutcliffe, okay.
Yeah, I just found an article that said, what if Frank Gore didn't flip to Miami on National Signing Day 2001? The Hurricanes ruined David Cutcliffe's party.
Oh, wow.
But what if they hadn't?
Mm-hmm. It means Frank Gore would have been Eli Manning's running back. That'd have been something, huh? All right, so that leads me to an article here that, JB, you forwarded me earlier that has to do with Southern Miss, the first team that's set to play around here anyway.
There you go.
So next Thursday night, Southern Miss is going to host South Alabama, and our man Patrick McGee with the Sun Herald, who covers Southern Miss for them, does a fantastic job. The 5 best newcomers on Southern Miss's team. Now, what it said here is on their football team, they are loaded with first-year players. These are the 5 best. Now, I got to let the fight song play for a second. Hang on. To the top, All right. You know what I needed to wait for, JB? I had to wait, let the song play a minute while I texted my wife back because she texted me, "We're going to Chick-fil-A. Do you want anything?"
Yes.
Yes.
Spicy chicken with waffle fries.
Ooh.
With Chick-fil-A sauce for Chris Brooks.
Man, how do you stay like under 250 pounds eating like that all the time, JB?
It's a gift. I don't talk about it much.
Is the gift called a tapeworm? Is that the gift?
Yeah, maybe so. No, I did get on the scales this morning for the first time in a while. I weighed 201.4.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Hadn't worked out in 6 months.
After losing all that weight, I'm hanging in there at a healthy 235.
Was that your playing weight?
Actually, it was a little less. I reported to Mississippi State as a freshman out of high school at 230. And by the time I was a senior, I played at about 240. Now, there was one year in there where I lost a bunch of weight just because I was working so hard. I was down to about 220. But, so yeah, I guess it was playing weight. I'm going to give you those 5 best newcomers at Southern Miss coming up. Stick around.
This is Tammy from Romantic.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sauce. It's countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys.
And it's streaming right now online at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Getting set to wrap it up with you. Here on the show in the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team, they are your home team. Yes, that's right, True Maroon. All right, so we had the question earlier. Said, is it true that the great Frank Gore almost went to Ole Miss? And it teed me up. It queued it up. Article from Patrick McGee. The Sun Herald covers Southern Miss for them. The top 5 newcomers at Southern Miss. They're loaded with them. They're going to play a bunch of first-year players this year. They're loaded with first-year players. But the 5 best at the top of the list, Frank Gore Jr., freshman running back. Here's what Patrick said in the article about him. Son of an NFL legend, obviously. Gore was the high school signee who generated the most buzz when he signed back in February. Has had an impressive fall camp. I'm paraphrasing some of this, not reading it word for word. He is a Miami product, and he's going to play a significant role in the Southern Miss offense. And all signs point to him eventually becoming the starter that they need back there at running back. He's 5'8", 170 pounds. In a couple of scrimmages for Southern Miss, he's carried the ball 17 times for 139 yards. Teammates, coaches talking about him being a complete back. Okay, the running backs coach at Southern Miss is Akeem Davis. This week he said Frank has kind of set himself apart from being extremely consistent. Since the first day he's walked on campus, he's been seen and not heard. He's done what he's needed to do, and he's been consistent. I'm glad he's on this football team, and I'm glad we got him for 4 years, maybe even possibly 5. He'll be a cornerstone for the Southern Miss Black Attack. That's what they call it. I won't give you all the details, but there's a kid from West Point mentioned here, Jason Brownlee, a transfer from East Mississippi Community College, receiver at Southern Miss, 6'3", 185. They mentioned a guy who's a junior college linebacker, defensive end, who came in from Iowa Western Community College. Avery Habas is his name. Cameron Harrell, junior cornerback, former Iowa Hawkeye, transferred in there. And then the 5th guy they mentioned is another running back, Don Ragsdale, Hines Community College. JB, earlier when I think it was Matt who called in, he was talking about how some of the high schools back in the day, they'd play each other, but the visiting team would come in and they'd have a big meal for them.
Yep,
right?
Happened. I participated in a few of those meals.
I remember a guy who, Bill Ward from Northeast Mississippi Community College, was the longtime football coach there at Northeast in Boonville. He played his college ball years ago at Southern Miss, but longtime coach. Coach Ward passed away a couple of years ago. Just an awesome guy. I'm so glad I got to know him. His grandson, by the way, is the offensive coordinator this year at Tupelo High School. Trey Ward.
How about that?
Yeah. But anyway, Coach Ward, he used to tell great stories of, what it was like coaching in junior college football in the 50s and 60s and 70s, which he did. Now, he was, in his younger years in the 50s and 60s, he was an assistant coach and then ultimately became the head coach. There in Boonville, the street that runs along the south end of the football stadium is Bill Ward Avenue. It's named after him there in Boonville. Just a great guy. And I heard him telling stories, and he mentioned that one time how he told, I don't remember all the exact details. There was one specific game he mentioned that Hines Community College came to Boonville. They set up a long row of tables in the basketball arena, the basketball gym, and one long row was for the Northeast team. They'd sit on either side of the table. And on the other side of the gym was the long row of tables strung out, and that's where Hines sat over there and ate. He said, and while they were eating, you're going to play later that night. Both teams are in there eating dinner. They're going to play each other later that night. And they got to jawing back and forth. And pretty soon, a big fight broke out.
Food fight!
Yeah.
See if you can guess what I am now.
Yeah, he did. He did not mention food fight, but a sure enough fight. He said somebody stood up, slung their folding chair out of the way, and here come the guy from the other side. They met in the middle. Boom! And about that time, here come the teammates to the rescue, and we had a big brouhaha.
Like Donkey Kong.
It was on. He said, and about 2.5 hours later, both teams were on the field in uniform, getting loose. He said that was great. You know what else he told me? He told me a story in 1950, I think it was his late 50s. Okay, and the head coach at Northeast at that time was a man whose last name was McCool, just like McCool Hall at Mississippi State. I think it's the same family. I don't remember his first name, but his last name was McCool. And Coach Ward was an assistant coach on that staff, late 50s team. And they had a pretty good team, or developed into a pretty good team. He told the story that they had to play at East Mississippi Community College in Scuba. Bull Sullivan, the head coach there, famous. And he said, back then, we didn't have like a ton of players. He said, we didn't have 25, 30 players. We just didn't have that many. He said, and we didn't have a bus either. So we just loaded up in 2 or 3 or 4 cars. We took our cars down there. However, how many cars that we needed it to load our players up and our trainer and our coaches, and we drove down there. We drove down there in cars. He said, so we get to the field at East Mississippi Community College. This is the late 50s. Our guys get out, start putting their stuff on. They get in the end zone, and Coach McCool circled them up. One guy got in the middle. They start going through their stretching routine and all that. He said, well, at East Mississippi at that time, they were the class of junior college football. They got a team of 60-something guys down there. Guys that are going to definitely go on and play big-time football, Everybody wanted to play for Bull Sullivan, even though he was mean as a rattlesnake, or that was his reputation. Well, Bull Sullivan came walking down the field to the other end where the visitors were, had just gotten out of their cars, shakes his hand and greets Coach McCool and says, these your players? Coach McCool says, yes, that's them. He says, is this all you got? He said, yeah, we got 15 guys. He goes, you got 15? Uh-huh. He says, okay. Bull Sullivan walks down to the other end of the field. They've got over 50 guys in uniform. He picked out his best 15 players and told the rest of them to take their uniforms off and go sit in the stands and watch. And they played 15 on 15. 15 guys for Northeast, 15 guys for East Mississippi.
I've never heard that story, and my first cousin was a D-back in the late 60s at Scuba. I'm going to have to ask him about that.
I asked him about that.
I'm going to ask him, first of all, I'm going to ask him, did you get to play, or were you sitting in the stands?
Yeah, which one was he? Yeah. That'll be telling. Gator Nation on the Country Pleasing text line. What did he say here? What did he say? When football's... Gator Nation, I'm going to tell you, I love getting your text, but every now and then we get one from you that you had to have typed it out so fast that it can't... You get in a hurry, I think. I think you just get in a hurry. Because the last one,
he's always in a hurry to get to the last his little signature.
Mhm.
He's so excited about doing that. And
all this one I know is it's something about running Brady down my throat.
Yeah, I think he was sending that to me for some reason.
Well, it just might get on the air, Gator Nation.
There you have it.
You just have to remember, I can see him too.
I'm just glad he capitalized that B. That's made my week.
TB12, the GOAT. Yeah, we can't figure out why the others were. Why was the B never capitalized before? I just can't quite figure that one out. Look, I mentioned this very early in the show, so it probably is time to repeat it. You have a ton of games that are going on around here. Just like last week, you're going to have quite a few that you may want to tune into, stream those online. I had a great time last week watching MRA. MRA, by the way, they're on the road at Capaya Academy. This week, Prep is at Simpson, and JA is at Leak. So any number of those streams. But you've also got football on television this weekend, high school football, that is. Tonight, ESPN is going to broadcast St. Paul's versus Spanish Fort down in Mobile. National broadcast for that one. They have some great rivalries and great football in the Mobile area. Don't quote me on this, but I think, did A.J. McCarron go to St. Paul's? Or did he go to McGill-Tulane there in Mobile? He went to one of those in that area. So that's a good one. That'll be on TV tonight. Late tonight on ESPN, two schools in Utah. Corner Canyon High School versus Bingham. Then tomorrow on Saturday at like 11 a.m., it's Trinity Christian, who was playing in Jackson against MRA last week, Deion Sanders and company. They are going to play against Knoxville Catholic in Tennessee tomorrow. Yes, the game is in Knoxville. So last week, Deion Sanders, Trinity Christian, put the players and team on a bus, had them on there from Dallas to Jackson, played that night. We were told Deion Sanders flew into Madison. So tomorrow, they are in Knoxville, Tennessee. There'll be some other games on throughout the night. And then, of course, tomorrow night, college football, FCS kickoff. Austin Peay versus Central Arkansas. Who you rooting for in that game, JB?
My cheer is Let's Go Peay.
Let's go Peay.
The Governors.
The Govs. All right. Appreciate you, JB. Have a great weekend.
You too, pal. Good week.
Yep, good week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Appreciate all the phone calls and texts. It's been fun. Coming up next here on 105.9 The Zone WRKS, Jake Wimberly in The Drive, along with Beaver, our man. Y'all stick around for that. I'll see y'all Monday.